The Cosmic Briefing, hosted by award-winning author Dr. Allison Brown, opens the door to disclosure, consciousness, galactic history, and humanity's awakening.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Cosmic Briefing. Today I want to talk again about what's in store for the upcoming new year, 2027. And if you've been following along, you'll remember that a couple of episodes back, I gave you an update from our guides about what was, and actually it wasn't from our guides, it was from a very trusted client's higher self, about what was in store for the rest of 2026. Highly recommend that you go back and listen to that one because it's fascinating and it's very current. But basically, in a nutshell, they explained that in the summertime, for the rest of the summer, we're going to notice a splitting, kind of a splitting of realities, a splitting of, you could call it timelines, I guess, but not really, because we're all on the same timeline, but we're going to perceive the things that are happening on that timeline quite differently. So you and your spouse or you and your best friend might have very different versions of reality throughout the rest of the summer of what's taking place, what's being revealed, and what's coming out. Then they said that in the fall, this higher self said that in the fall, there would be a new knowledge that disrupts thought patterns. So this is sort of like the unraveling or the shaking free of certain indoctrinated, stiff and firm belief systems that are going to interfere with you being able to ascend or being able to understand what's taking place over the next year or two. That was my impression. Well, we channeled for another group recently, and this was our guides. The collective came in. Our collective consists, by the way, of Source, Archangel Raphael, Archangel Michael, and Enoch. Those are the primary guides that come in unless we call in other beings. And so this time I asked, I think somebody in the audience wanted to know, so when we went in, I asked, well, what about 2027? We got an idea kind of what's happening in the summer and the fall, but what about 2027? And their words were, 2027 will be a shocker. Will be a shocker. They don't speak like that typically. They're very kind of formal. From the upper dimensions, they're a little bit more philosophical and formal. They don't get bogged down too much in the nitty-gritty of what's happening on Earth because that's never going to change. It's always chaotic. It's always in duality purposefully for us to have lessons and to learn and to grow and evolve. So they don't get involved in who to vote for or what the nitty-gritty is. So to hear them say, literally, and use the word shocker was shocking to me. So they said, yeah, 2027 is going to be a shocker. And they said, what do we mean by that? And I want to tell you their words directly. I want to read it because I don't want to say it incorrectly. They said that there will be writings and teachings that will be brought forward that have not been revealed to humanity since their inception. What do you think they meant by that? You know, there are people out there looking for the Ark of the Covenant. There are people that look for the Dead Sea Scrolls. There are ancient writings from Enoch, the Book of Enoch, all of these different sacred texts and things that have been hidden from mankind forever. They're almost like a myth at this point because we can't find them or find proof of them definitively. And so we speculate and guess where they might be or what they might say, right? So for them to say that there are writings and teachings that have not been brought forward to humanity since their inception is quite shocking, and I'm looking forward to that. They did say that when you use words like shocking, some people might jump to fear or uncertainty or uncomfortableness, and they said, don't buy into any fear. It isn't fearful at all. It's exciting. These revelations will be exciting, and I think they're going to trigger our inner knowingness because we all have all of that information in our DNA. We already know these things to be true. Each human holds the bulk, the entirety of human existence within our very DNA. And so as we ascend and as we climb higher in our energy and our vibration and frequency, things are going to start to unlock for us. And so as these revelations come forward, we're going to know what's true. We're going to say, oh my gosh, they did say that this isn't new information for many people, but that you're going to understand it now. You're going to have a different understanding of it. And I think this is also going to be perhaps biblically in the Bible. You know, the Bible was sort of massaged and changed over the years when humans got a hold of it and for certain agendas and purposes. But you can still find truth in the Bible. You can still find verses and truth when you meditate on it. If that's your thing, or the words of Jesus in the Bible, which may or may not be exact, but when you meditate on that, there are some things in the Bible that are true, but they're metaphoric or they're difficult to understand. And I have a feeling, because I've seen some really cool videos of people who have studied that and explained what they really meant in the Bible. Fascinating stuff. I don't recall where I saw that as I researched, but fascinating stuff. And I think that's what they meant, is that it'll have a new awareness, a new understanding, a new perspective on some of the information that we already kind of knew, but didn't quite understand how to take. They also said, you know, if you're watching this, by the way, and I consider myself awakened versus being asleep to the understanding that we are spiritual beings having a physical incarnation. That's what I mean when I say awake. So I consider myself to be awake, and I assume that you are too if you're watching these videos. But they said these revelations and these shocks are not going to just come to the unawakened. It's going to come to us too. We think we're awake now, but there will be many more ahas and revelations that kind of knock our socks off too. So I don't know about you, but I'm super excited about what's to come right around the corner and every year after that, because it's only going to get exponentially quicker and more exciting and moving up just crazy fast. So every day is a new adventure. Hopefully you are living every day in the new earth already by stating that it is so, choosing that as your focal point and your awareness point, and looking for all of the beauty in your life. Thanks so much for joining me.